Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you another crochet tutorial, and this time I will show you how to make this beautiful crochet crop top. It's very easy and simple to make, and therefore it is very friendly for beginners, so I hope you will enjoy it. But now let's get into it, and here are the materials that you are going to need. I'm using organic cotton 8x4. You will also need a crochet hook. I'm using 3.5 millimeters just to have a looser look. You will also need scissors and the darning needle, which is optional if you don't want to use your crochet hook for connecting all the parts. So let's get started, and first you will have to make a slip knot. You can do it by simply making a knot and leaving a loop, and then just grab your crochet hook and we will start by doing 20 chains. To do a chain, simply grab yarn and pull it through the loop and repeat it for 20 times until you have 20 chains in total. Now that you have done your 20 chains, basically hold the finger at the last chain and do an extra one to make it 21 in total. And now we are starting to do single crochets by going back and skipping the 21st one. So to do a single crochet, you basically go through the chain, grab yarn and pull it through, and then grab yarn again and pull it through both loops. So once again, go through, pull, and pull again through both loops, and we are going to repeat the process through all 20 chains back, and I will meet you at the very end again. Now that you have finished with your first row, chain one and turn your work around, and we can start doing the second row by doing single crochets only in the back loops. So the process is basically the same, it's just that you will put your hook through only the back loop, like this. Then pull the yarn through and pull it through again through both loops. And repeat the process until you have reached the end of the row. Once you have reached the end of the row 2, do the same process as we did before by ending the row 1. So basically finish your last chain, then chain 1, turn your work around, and again continue with doing single crochets only using back loops. So here I have done a couple of rows, and as you can see the pattern is starting to become ribbed because we are using only the back loops. So continue doing that for about 140 rows if your size is small, but if you're in a different size it's very easy to measure your own size by basically measuring it around the widest point, which in this case would be your chest. And if it looks something like this, you know that you have done enough rows and you can continue with the following part. So once you have done enough rows for the bottom part of the top, we can proceed with the next part, and we will be basically doing half double crochets, one half double crochet for each row at the bottom. So as you can see here, each of the waves basically represents 2 half double crochets that we will have to do. So one of them will come here, another one here, and then 2 in each wave basically. So grab your crochet hook and start by chaining 2. 1 and 2. And then in this first chain we will be actually doing 2 half double crochets, but that only applies for the first row, beginning and the end. So put your crochet hook through, grab yarn and pull it through all 3 loops. Yarn over, go through the same loop, pull through yarn and pull through all 3 loops. Now that we did first 2 of them, we can proceed with the next one. So yarn over, go through the loop and pull through all 3 loops. And continue doing the same until you reach end of the row, and I will meet you back again there. So yarn over, go through the chain at the bottom, pull through and pull through all 3 loops. And just repeat the same until we meet at the end. So here I am very close to finishing row 1. I just have to do a couple of more half double crochets, and here comes one of them. And now when we are at the very last chain in here, we are actually going to do 2 half double crochets in 1 chain. So here comes the first one, and then we will also do another one in the same chain. And once that's done, I'm chaining 2 and turning my work around, and we can proceed with row 2. And in row 2 we are not doing any increases, so we are basically doing half double crochet and only 1 in each of the chains. So here comes one, and here comes another one, and just repeat the process until you reach the end of the row, and continue doing that for about 14 rows. So here I have done 14 rows of half double crochets, and as you can see the top has become a bit wider, but you don't have to worry about it at all. And if you want, you can of course do more rows to make the top a bit longer. Now we can proceed with doing the triangle part of the top, but before we do that we have to put some placeholders to figure out where is the middle of the top and where triangles should start and stop basically. So here I'm just folding the top in the right direction as it should, and based on how many rows I have at the bottom, which in my case were 140, I have to find the 70th or 71st chain, and basically that would be the middle part of the top, and I would be placing one placeholder in there and then 2 other ones in there, which would be 35 chains in width each of them. So just count your chains and place one placeholder in the middle, and then again divide to find out where the triangle should end. So I'm putting one in here, and I also have 2 other ones on the side. So one is in the very middle, and then the ones on the sides are 35 chains away from the middle basically. But it again depends on how wide is your top. So just count it to be adjusted specifically for your size. Before we proceed further, as you can see, we will first have to finish the previous row, and previous row was done from the other side. As you can see, I was coming from the right side to the left one. So here is my last loop, And because last row was done on this side, we will be doing our triangle starting from this side, as you can see from the white placeholder that I have there, and we will be starting from the white one going to the middle. So first let's finish this row. I will be chaining 1 and then pulling some yarn through and cutting it off and tightening it. Once that's done, we can proceed with attaching the yarn to the first placeholder in here. And to do that, we are basically just going to pull the yarn through the loop that we have there and just attaching it by doing a knot. So just take your crochet hook, pull the yarn through so it's easier to get it through, and make a simple knot. Make sure that it is tight enough, and if you feel that it's secure, we can also remove the placeholder that we have there because we won't need it basically anymore. And then just pull your crochet hook through the loop where the yarn is attached. Pull the yarn through, chain 2, and we can start doing half double crochets again. So first half double crochet will be actually done in the same chain that we already have there. So just yarn over, pull through, and pull through all 3. And just continue doing that until you reach the very middle of the top where we have our second placeholder. So yarn over, go through and pull through all 3 loops, and I will meet you again in the very middle. So here we are getting very close to the middle part and just finishing it by doing half double crochets into every single stitch, including the middle one where we have our placeholder in there. So just doing one of the last ones, and here is our final one, which is going in the same stitch as the placeholder. And once that's finished, we are basically just chaining 2 and turning our work around. And now when we are on the second row, we can start doing reduction, which is going to be done in the very beginning and end of the row. So to do that, we chain over, go through the first one, chain over again and go through the second one, and now we have 5 loops in total, and we are pulling the yarn through all of them like this, which basically means that we are connecting 2 chains into one. And then with the next one, we are doing a simple regular half double crochet in the every single stitch until we are close to finishing the row, and I will meet you again when we have about 3 chains left. So here I have again 2 chains left, and we will be reducing by doing half double crochet without finishing and another one in the last one. So we have 5 loops left, and we are just pulling the yarn through all of them, and this helps us to connect two chains in one by reducing. And once we are done, just chain 2, turn your work around, and we will again do reduction in the very beginning by connecting 2 chains in one. So yarn over, go through the first one, pull the yarn through, again yarn over and go through the second one, pull the yarn through, 5 loops and go through all of them. And once that's done, just continue doing regular half double crochets until you reach the very end, and again reduced by connecting 2 half double crochets into one. So as you can see, it's starting to take shape now, and we are going to continue doing that until we have only 10 chains left, which will be used for our straps. So here I have done it for 14 rows in total, and as you can see, it is shaping as a triangle. And at the moment I only have 10 stitches left in one row, and now we can continue with doing straps. And to do straps we won't do any reductions anymore, so now we are just going to proceed with doing half double crochets in every single stitch. And first we have to finish the current row by chaining 2, and then just turning the work around and doing half double crochets into every single stitch. So no reductions in here, just one half double crochet for each stitch that we have here, and we will just be coming back and forth until we have reached the desired length for our straps. So once you are in the last stitch, just finish it by doing a half double crochet, chain 2, turn your work around and continue the process as you did for the first row of this strap. Here I have finished with doing the straps, and in total I did 39 rows for my size. The easiest way to figure out how many rows are necessary, I would suggest for you to try it out while you are making them, and just keep in mind that while wearing the top they will probably stretch out, so I wouldn't suggest doing more because at some point they will become looser, so I would rather suggest going with less and then just figuring it out on the way how it goes. As you can see, we will be attaching the strap later on in this point at the back of the top, so now just cutting off the yarn and tightening it. Just chain 1, pull out some yarn and cut it off. Now we can continue with doing the second triangle by attaching the yarn here in the very middle where we have our placeholder. And the process from this point will basically be the same. We will just attach the yarn by pulling it through where we have our placeholder and making a knot. Just tighten the knot to make sure that it is secure, and at this point we can also remove our placeholder from the very middle so it's not in our way. Take your crochet hook, pull some yarn through and chain 2. Then start doing half double crochets, and the first one will go in the same loop where we have our yarn attached. So do one half double crochet in there and then just continue doing them until you reach the third placeholder, which is approximately 35 chains away from me. So just do them until you reach this point. Once you are near the placeholder at the very end, just finish the row by doing half double crochets. Once you're done, chain 2 and turn your work around, and we can proceed with the row 2. And as before, in the row 2 we are starting to do our reductions in the very beginning of the row and end of the row. So here we are reducing by connecting 2 stitches, and once we are done with that, we can proceed with simple half double crochets, 1 in every stitch. And just continue doing that until you reach the end of the row, and at the very end of the row we will again connect 2 stitches. So here we are very close to finishing row 2, and we just basically have to connect last 2 stitches. So start doing a half double crochet in one of them, don't finish it and go straight to the other one, pull the yarn through and pull it through all loops that you have on the hook. And chain 2, turn your work around, and you can proceed with row 3 and just repeat the process by reducing in the very beginning of the row and end of the row. So here I'm connecting again 2 stitches by reducing and proceeding with doing simple half double crochets until I reach the end of the row, where I'm again going to do reduction. It's basically the same as we did with the first triangle, just make sure that it is identical and we can have the same part as we did before. So here I'm done with the second triangle and all the reductions that were necessary, and it's identical as the first one, so basically I have 10 stitches left in this row. And now when we are in this point, we can continue with doing the straps. So again, for straps we just do 1 half double crochet in same stitch, and we can forget about doing any reductions further. So just go back and forth and do 1 half double crochet in every single stitch until you reach the same length as for the other strap. Here I have done both of the straps, and as I said before, I did approximately 39 rows, but of course that can depend on the size that you are having, and this in total is approximately 28 centimeters or 9 or 10 inches. And as I said before, just keep in mind that once wearing the top, the straps will stretch out a little bit, so don't make them too long. Now when we are at this point, we can actually start connecting all of the pieces and parts together. But before we do that, we will smoothen up the edges and sides by doing slip stitch all around the top. So to do that, we will start by this side, and basically we are keeping all the loose ends and basically all the ugly sides inside. So we are attaching the yarn here, and we will start doing slip stitch from here, meaning that the slip stitch will go from the outer side, which will be visible by everyone, and that's actually the pretty side. So first we are attaching the yarn by doing a secure knot, and once that's done, we are going through with our crochet hook and basically just pulling the yarn through to have one loop, and then just chaining 1. Once that's done, we proceed with the next chain, and in the next one we just pull the yarn and pull it through the same loop, like so. And we just continue doing that with every single stitch that we have. So just go through, grab yarn and pull it through the loop. Very simple and very easy, and as you can see, the edge is already looking a little nicer and smoother. So this is what you are supposed to get, and that's what we are going to do all around the top, all around the triangle part, and also the straps. And we will do it up until the edge of the strap. So all around here, 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 and until we reach the very end in there. When you are here around the triangle part, as you can see, we don't have specific stitches, so just try to make one stitch for every row and just try to be as careful as possible to make sure that the slip stitch you are doing is done in a proper way and that it's more or less equal. And just do the same also for the straps. And once we are at the very end and basically the edge of the strap, we just do the final slip stitch, chain one, pull some yarn through and cut it off with our scissors, and then just tightening it up by pulling the yarn. And now we are going to do the same slip stitch. We just first have to attach the yarn on the other edge of the strap that we have in here. So we are just attaching it in the same way as we did before by pulling the yarn through and making a secure knot. Once that's done, just take your crochet hook, pull some yarn through and chain one, and then just continue with doing slip stitch all around just as we did. And here we are going to do it all around the inner part, here around the triangles, starting from here, 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 until we reach the very edge of the second strap in there. So just do the slip stitch all around until you reach this point. And then we are going to do the same by starting on the other side and again going around the other side of the top when reaching the very end of the other side. So here I have done slip stitch all around and we are on the other side of the top at the moment. So this means that we can fold the top to have the inner part at the outer side basically, and now we are going to connect both sides together also by doing a slip stitch. So this is how it's supposed to look. As you can see, I have all my yarn all over the place and basically the ugly part is on the outside, so just make sure that you're doing exactly the same. So now we have both edges together and we are basically pulling a little bit of the yarn out and putting the needle through the other side where we are going to pull the yarn through. And once the yarn is through, we are going to chain one. And from this point, we can start doing the slip stitch and connecting both sides together. So just go through, pull some yarn and pull it through the loop and continue the process until both sides are connected. Just make sure that you are doing this at the very edge of both sides, just to make sure that the connecting part isn't too wide or too big, so we can ensure that the top is very smooth in the place where it's connected. And just repeat it until you reach very end. When you are at the very end, just do your final slip stitch by pulling the yarn through, chain extra one, pull some yarn through and cut it off with your scissors and just tighten it by pulling the yarn. The next step for us is to connect our straps to the back part. So first we just have to turn our top on the other side, and first we have to find out where exactly our straps should be connected. As you can see here, I am making them in the exact same way or position as they are on the front, just making sure that it looks smooth and identical as the front part. And I will be placing in some placeholders in the positions where we will be attaching them later on. So I'm placing some placeholders in both positions, beginning and the end of the strap, just to make sure that it is in the right placement from both sides. So here I have attached 2 placeholders for each strap, and just finishing with the final one. And once that's done, we can turn our top again on the other side, because we will be attaching the straps from the inner part of the top. So just turning it around and again finding the exact place where we will be attaching them. And making sure that middle part is in the very middle. And just finding our first strap in here and placing it in between the placeholders. I have some leftover yarn here from when we were doing the straps and also doing the slip stitch, so I'm just going to use that one. And as you can see here you can see the smooth part of the slip stitch that we did before, which is actually now going to be very handy for us. We will basically leave the slip stitch on the outside and we won't be touching that. And when we will be attaching the straps, we will be using these stitches that we have on the inside part. As you can see, I'm using the stitch that we have on the inside, and slip stitch just stays on the outside. And that's what's going to give us a very smooth and very tidy look for this top and the straps when they are attached. So just grabbing our strap and pulling the yarn that we have from when we were doing the straps before, and making a chain in here. I'm just pulling the yarn through the loop to make sure that it's secure. And now we can also remove our placeholders so they are not in the way. And now just basically going through the loops on both sides and doing a regular slip stitch as we did before when going all around the top. So here I am at the very end of connecting the straps, and once you are doing the final stitch, just complete it and then chain 1, pull through the yarn, cut it off and tighten it. And this is how the strap looks on the other side, and as I mentioned before, you can clearly see that slip stitch is giving this nice and smooth look, and it kind of looks like the strap is coming from the inside rather than being connected on the main part of the top. So basically you just have to do exactly the same thing with the other strap and attach it to the chains and stitches that we have on the inside. And then again, the slip stitch is going to give us a very smooth look, just as it did for the first strap, which we just attached. So here I'm done with the second strap, and as you can see, it also looks very smooth and very pretty. And now we can basically continue with the final part of finishing our top, and we just have to weave in all the loose ends of the yarn that we have in here. To do that, you can either use the darning needle, or if you prefer to do it like me, you can also just use your crochet hook and just pull the yarn through some stitches on the inside part, just to make sure that nothing is loose and everything looks smooth and pretty also from the inside. Just pull each piece of yarn through some of the chains that you have for a couple of times to make sure that it's secure and smooth, and then you can either cut it off or leave it as it is. So here is our end product, and as you can see, it's very simple, very pretty, very beautiful, and also very beginner friendly. And if you wish, you can easily experiment with this pattern by doing it a bit bigger, a bit looser, adding extra colors, making it a bit longer, and just exploring simply something new, as I did here with some extra colors and extra length. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that this tutorial is going to be useful for you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your creations, so please don't hesitate to share them with me. And if you have any questions, then please feel free to ask me in the comment section, and I will do my best to help you from there. And if you're new to my channel, then please subscribe so we can meet again in my future videos. I really hope you enjoyed. Please give me a big thumbs up and see you later. Bye!